Right, aloha everyone. I am Kaya Laguardia, your orientation leader for today's session, TRiO Student Support Services. Before we get started, I'll be covering some housekeeping items for today's webinar. So first, you should be able to hear me clearly. If you cannot, please note that in the chat box so that we may troubleshoot with you. Simple fixes include connecting your audio on the Zoom window in the bottom left, turning up your computer volume, or using external headphones. Second, please utilize the Q&A function if you have questions for the presenters or about what was shared. For most sessions, all questions will be saved for the end of the presentation. Additionally, participants in the chat are asked to be respectful of others and stay focused on the topic of this webinar so those questions can easily be seen. Finally, after the session, we will be uploading the recording of this webinar to the Visit Days platform in the video section. All recordings will have closed captioning. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome and introduce today's presenters, Shaun Sibonga, Michael Tong, and Leilani Harjati. With that, I'll turn the presentation over to Shaun and Michael.
Thank you so much, Kaya. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to our session. So like Kaya said, today we're going to be talking about TRiO Student Support Services, what our program is, how you can qualify and apply, and then we're also going to have a special segment at the end featuring Michael. So before we get into our program in particular, I do want to give a brief overview of TRiO SSS as a whole. So TRiO SSS is the U.S. Department of Education program. So it's not just that we're a general office to support students. There's actual programs all over the nation supporting first-generation college students and those with high financial need. So we have them at University of Colorado Boulder, universities of Georgia and Florida, Arizona State, so really all over the country. Oh, and hello, hi, my name is Shauna. I'm one of the 3 academic advisors in our office. And I'm also joined by our esteemed director. Leigh, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Aloha, everyone. We're so happy that you're here to join us today. I'm grateful for Shauna and Michael for leading us in our session today. I'm grateful for Sabrina and Kaya as well. I'll be helping with the Q&A. So if you have any questions, put your questions in the Q&A. I'll turn it back to Shauna. Thank you.
Yes, Leigh is great at helping with the Q&A. So let's talk about our program now. TRiO SSS at UH Mānoa, our mission is to increase graduation and retention for those 2 groups we just mentioned, first gen and high financial need. And all this means that we want to keep you in college and get you to your diploma. We've also been on campus for a really, really long time, so since 1970, and every year we serve about 265 students. So usually in our smaller sessions, we'll ask people in the chat, what are some of your concerns about starting at UH Mānoa? And these are the common things that we've been seeing. I'm afraid of getting lost. I'm afraid of not having friends. I don't know how to time manage myself. What about mental health resources? Is there scholarships? And of course, the all-important graduating on time. So to address these concerns for the students, this is our focus at TRiO SSS. Developing an academic plan, of course, that meets your needs. We know that all of you are not just students. You have other aspects of your lives that you are contributing to. You might be a parent, you might be a caregiver, you might be working full-time. So all of those things need to be taken into consideration. We also meet you where you are in your academic journey. So we don't expect you to know everything when you first come in as a freshman. We definitely help you along the way. And along those same lines, helping you navigate the hidden curriculum. So we know that you can learn things like Biology 171, but it's a little bit harder because no one really tells you how do you ask your professor for an extension on an assignment, those types of hidden things. And we also love to connect you to resources. So our advisors come from a very broad range, things like transfer, exploratory majors, financial aid. So if we can't answer your questions, we will absolutely do a warm handoff and connect you to our colleagues who can. So let's talk about our concrete services. We have 8 of them on the screen here. You can see the first part, we're focusing primarily on academics. So planning your graduation pathway. We're also supplemental academic advisors. So everyone here, you have a major. And so primarily your advisor is going to be with your major, your school and college and your major advisors, for an extra layer of support. We also help you with strategies for better learning. So what is the best way to learn for you and for your classes? We love the educational workshops. We just had one on how to apply for graduate school, budgeting basics, online learning, all of those important things to get through college. Number 5, we partner very closely with Mānoa Career Center to help with career internships, things like resume building and job search, all of those things to get you ready for after you finish your college degree. We also have everyone's favorite summer scholarship that is available only to our students. And then 7 and 8 are the things that are most impacted by COVID. We have our facilities, a computer lab, as well as a study room, and then our social events. So our computer lab right now is outfitted with, as well as the study room, they're outfitted with plexiglass between every station, and all of the keyboards and mice are covered with plastic wrap and changed out between students, in addition to the standard cleaning. Okay, so now that you know what you can expect of us, this is what we expect of you. Does the one advising contact every semester to be considered active? So all of those workshops and things, you don't have to attend all of them or any of them if you don't want to. In fact, we encourage you to attend the sessions that would best support you on your journey. Again, the only expectation is coming to advising, checking in with us so that we can make sure that you're on your way to graduation. Okay, and the next couple of slides are going to be some of the testimonials from students to really emphasize what things students have gotten out of our services. And then I also did bold the more relevant things. So this student talking about how SSS really helped with their career or their college goals, relieving stress, answering questions. And these are all absolutely things that SSS advisors that we love to do for you. The next one's a little more lengthy, but again, you can focus on the bolded things. This student talking about SSS being like a family. We're very big on community. Of course, the things like advising, the computer lab, the free printing we have, the food pre-COVID, our summer scholarship, and of course, a place to hang out and study. And my favorite part about this, what this student's talking about, is that SSS contributed to making a memorable experience at UH Mānoa. So our hope is that if you do join our program, that you also have these similar positive experiences. Okay, eligibility things. So on this slide, the most important things you want to focus on is the ands and the ors. They're going to be really, really important. So this first one, number 1, undergraduate student enrolled or accepted at UH Mānoa as your primary campus. That's all of you here. Wonderful, you got number 1 done. The second one is that you must be a US citizen or permanent resident. And number 3, a little more complex, but still easy to understand. We would love it if you're both, but either or would also meet the qualifications. So the first one is you or your family's taxable income meets US Department of Education income criteria. It sounds complex, but don't worry, our application very clearly breaks it down, the information you have to provide for us. Or you're a first generation college student. The most common question we get asked on this slide is, what does first gen even mean? Because in the literature, we know that there's tons of definitions, tons of exceptions. But for the purposes of our program and being eligible, first gen means that neither of your parents have a bachelor's degree. The next follow-up question that we always get is, well, what if my parent has an associate's degree? And that's still okay. Our focus here is the bachelor's degree. So if one of your parents or both of them has an associate's degree, you're still considered first gen and would still qualify for the program. Before we go on to the next slide, I do actually want to show you this, what this income criteria website does look like, just so you can recognize it for the future. Again, on the US Department of Education website, and it always looks like 4 columns here. So what's going to be important to note on this one, on this website, is that it does change every year. Yeah, so depending on whatever year you apply to us, we're going to use that year's current year low income level. Okay. All right, we'll come back to this though. Okay, let's come back to this. And now let's talk about the application process. And on this slide, we want to really emphasize that you can come whenever you are ready. You know, for scholarships and certain programs, you have to apply by a certain timeline in order to get in at a certain time. But for us, we're open all year round to applications. Now, the application is a Google form. Again, it's super, super simple. So it's going to be on our website on the application page, which we can also view. Just so you folks are familiar with it when you do get here. All right, the top portion does include all of the things that we just covered, the eligibility requirements, and of course even has the button to the income criteria, so you can check that out. And on the bottom, to make you read everything, make sure we're being thorough, we have the application. The button is pretty hard to miss. So you just click on this and you log in with your UH login as well as completing the dual authentication. And then after you submit it, what's going to happen is we're going to process your application and you will be notified via your UH email to schedule an intake or your first appointment with us. And in case no one's told you yet, it's super important that all of you use your hawaii.edu email to communicate with any UH office. Okay, that's your official form of communication. Alrighty. And I know that was a lot of information, especially the income criteria stuff. So for those of you that are visually minded, you can go ahead and use your phone or go back to our application page, it's also there, and grab our flyer here. It's this green one that has all of the eligibility criteria, our services, and then the application link here as well. Especially if you have maybe friends or family who could not attend the session today, you can go ahead and send them this. I will give you a few seconds to scan that, open up your QR code reader, your Snapchat camera, your iPhone camera also automatically picks it up before we move on to the next slide, which is going to be the very exciting portion. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be our exciting portion. We do include a student spotlight in this presentation, and today we're very fortunate to have Michael. He's part of our 2019 cohort, and he's an HCFS major. So what we did is we just asked Michael, how has SSS helped you? So Michael, I will hand it off to you.
Aloha, everyone. I'm so happy to be invited to speak as a current Student Support Services member. I'm so grateful for everything the office and especially the advisors have provided to me over the past few years. I feel very lucky to have found the SSS as a first-generation college student. First generation meaning both of my parents have never completed their bachelor's degrees, even though they went to college for the first years, but then had to leave because of family and work commitments. So I feel lucky because my cousin, who is a first generation student from her immediate family, attended UH nearly a decade before I did. And she recommended I join SSS because one of the office's services because it was like all of the office's services helped her immensely during college. And she was even hired part-time as a student office assistant and earned a lot of money along the way. But yeah, she also knew I would enjoy visiting the cross pond right outside the office because I love plants, turtles, and ducks. And the garden is just so lush and beautiful in the fall. So yeah, I was really interested in joining after hearing through word of mouth about how she felt supported. And so the first time I stopped by the office, it was in the middle of a really busy event-filled week. I was a freshman 2 years ago, and there are so many clubs and organizations trying to advertise and recruit students, and like we're trying to do now. But so SSS was kind of like a sanctuary and like a respite from all of that noise. I actually remember the first event I went to during that week. Advisors were teaching students how to weave these hydro flask paracord handles, and then they even gifted me a hydro flask. And yeah, so pre-pandemic, the SSS advisors always held like a dozen or so bonding activities, these relaxing craft sessions and educational events over the course of the semester. And going into university, I knew I wanted a quiet, air-conditioned place to study, and I wanted to make a commitment to focus more on my academics. So after attending a few of these events, meeting my advisors and students, and learning about topics like financial literacy in between this busy first semester of life science major prerequisite classes, I think SSS really helped me find a balance when I needed it. And not to mention, there's free printing in the lab, there were small meals and snacks for when I didn't have time to run and buy lunch. And most importantly, I could sense from all of the advisors this capacity to and like capability to mentor any student from like humble backgrounds towards nearly any career path. And I noticed this genuine support and investment like for all of their students, which I can say not every high school office can do. But yeah, so I can honestly credit the SSS and the advisors there with helping me land my first 3 research internships. I also applied for various paid job positions, and they were really supportive in my pre-health and pre-medical journey. I want to preface by saying I accomplished a lot of the things I'm going to talk about through the pandemic when I lightened my course load a little bit, and especially with the support of my family as well. I'm so grateful for them. I'll say, try not to be like me in the first few semesters. I reached out to my SSS advisor for application feedback, essay revision, and some recommendation letters at kind of like really last minute, like a week before the deadlines. It's not a nice thing to do, so try to give them at least 3 weeks or even a month. That's even better to work with you, to help you like strategize. And I promise your application will be so much better and so much stronger because of it. I'm getting better at managing time and applications like that myself. And to my advisor, you know who you are. Thank you so much for bearing with me. So a quick run through. Sorry in advance if you're not like life sciences, but I applied to the INBRI summer research experience over the summer before my sophomore year. And I had no research background at all. I just had a desire to learn. And to be honest, I wanted to figure out why research is kind of like a checkbox for applying to medical school. I was never in honors or AP math, physics, and chemistry in high school. So the thought of wet lab or clinical research was really intimidating to me. I truly didn't feel like my college background at the time, which was basically just the first 2 classes of biology and first 2 classes of chemistry. I didn't feel like that was enough. But what I realized is that every student has to start and they have to learn somewhere. And every other research mentor needs students to help run the lab and to teach each other. So the INBRI program was really great because it trained me to do independent outreach and it developed me professionally. And so I was able to reach out to a mentor's lab at JABSOM, the John A. Burns School of Medicine, where I was very fortunate to be accepted as an intern after just about like 3 emails to a few different labs. And after 2 semesters, I ended up with a poster presentation at the annual symposium on what I learned about propagating cardiomyocytes and keeping cell cultures alive to test for certain proteins and gene expressions. And in this spring, I reached out to my SSS advisor again, and she gave me feedback to revise my first cover letter that I'm so proud of, that actually helped me land a decently competitive internship at Hawaii Pacific Neuroscience. This summer, I am actually researching alongside medical students and neurologists and physicians, and we are studying obstructive sleep apnea, which it's such a great experience. So all in all, even if you're not interested in like health sciences, biology, or medicine or health, the biggest takeaway that I want you to take is that student support services helped provide such a valuable and like individualized advising experience for me. They really encouraged me to put myself out there and apply for internships and jobs that the high school me would never have dreamed I could do. I've been rejected from quite a few places, quite a few times as well. But SSS is just so supportive and encouraging, and they're always right there to help you continue working towards your education and your career goals. Yeah, so thank you for listening to my talk. I hope you enjoyed it or found interest in it. If you have any questions about my experiences, you can send a quick email to SSS and then I can get back to you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll give it back to Shauna now.
Michael, thank you so much. We're so proud of all of your accomplishments, and thank you so much again for speaking about your experiences as a student in SSS. Wow, that was amazing. All right, so thank you again. And this is the end of our presentation. So does anyone have any questions? Feel free to put them into the Q&A and we will absolutely answer them for you. And again, as a reminder, if you do have questions specifically about advising your classes or things, because you're in Academic Success Week, there's going to be drop-in advising tomorrow from 8 to 12 Hawaii Standard Time, AM. While we're waiting for anything to come into the Q&A, Lei, do you want to add anything to our already wonderful presentation? Thank you again, Michael.
Sorry, you guys, technology. Michael, thank you so much for sharing about your experience as an SSS student. Something that I really hope that all of our potential students can feel through the computer screen, through recordings, etc., is that something that I love, I guess the core of what we do at SSS is we meet students where they are, and we really try to help students and support you on your individual journey, your academic journey, preparing for whether it be graduate school, whether it be preparing for a career. And we really do try, we're all of us here, we would have qualified for SSS ourselves as undergraduate students. And we really, our heart is really, we really want to do our best to support you. We're a warm office, really whatever question you have is a great question, and let's start there. I'm really grateful for our team of advisors, our team of student staff, and the community that we have at SSS. As Shauna shared, we have about 265 students each year in our program, and yes, students must meet eligibility requirements, etc. But wow, we are a small but mighty program. And again, we're with you from your first day at UH Manoa, and we celebrate you when you graduate from UH Manoa, and we're here with you all along the way. So thank you for letting me share a little bit. We hope that we can connect further. And again, call us, email us, visit us. We're at Krause Hall, room 114. We're right across from Campus Center, actually. And there is, as Michael was sharing, there's a fish pond right outside of our office. It's a great place to have lunch outdoors. Yeah, and again, yeah, connect with us. We would love to support you.
Thank you, Leigh. And I also want to mention something we always do in our intake appointments, right? Is I love to share our Instagram page. You don't have to follow if you don't want to, but I think it's a great place to go for you to get a glimpse of the kinds of events that we have, because we always post the events there, and you can also always register on our link tree there as well. So getting a really good idea of the breadth of activities that we offer, because we are a very holistic office.
We have a question that came in the Q&A. I was about to answer it via the Q&A, but let's answer it live. The question was, does everyone get assigned to one advisor, or do we meet with multiple at SSS? Shauna, do you want to answer? Do you want me to answer?
I think we can both. Yes, that is an excellent question. So our office, we're a little unique in that you're not assigned a particular advisor. You can see any or all of us. Now, when I had mentioned that the minimum requirement is one advising contact every semester, that's the minimum. Often students like Michael will meet with us multiple times for lots and lots of hours, and that's totally fine. That's what we're here for. But if you do find if you do find that you have a better connection to a certain advisor, that's cool too. We're here to support.
Perfectly answered, Shauna. Thank you. Yeah, again, we have 3 advisors here at SSS, and we're generalist advisors. And we do also really connect students with their primary advisors, their schooling, college, and major advisors. We are a supplemental advising office. And yeah, we have appointment scheduling through Star Balance. So how you make appointments with your college advisors, the same way you would be making appointments with your SSS advisors once you're accepted into our program.
Absolutely. And for those who didn't know, Star Balance is our in-house University of Hawaii appointment booking system. You'll get to know it soon enough, but that's definitely where you want to go to schedule your appointments.
All right, thank you so much. If there aren't any more questions, well, thank you so much for joining us today for this presentation, everyone. We hope that you gained some helpful information from Shauna, Michael, and Leilani. If you have further questions or questions that weren't discussed at all, please email your orientation leader or nrwo@hawaii.edu, or you can also email the TRiO Student Support Services for assistance. As mentioned, this webinar will be published on the NSO platform, so please visit that page for the recording, as well as all the links mentioned by today's guests. Mahalo.